Good evening, Facebook family and YouTube family. Welcome to another beautiful, beautiful Sunday evening session with Brian and Janice. Again, we are so delighted to have you with us today. It has been a magnificent weekend. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. To watch God and His creation and all that He does to keep us day to day and to grant us with such beautiful sun rays in the skies. It's just amazing to see how much He loves us. And if we don't know it, you better ask somebody. God has truly been blessing us with this beautiful weather, allowing us to come and see another day, to allow us to gather together, to worship, to praise Him, to be thankful for so many things. We want to keep the families and the community of Winder and Barrow County, Georgia, lifted up due to that act of violence with the mass shootings that occurred at Appalachia High School. You had the two 14-year-olds that were killed and the two teachers. It is just an atrocity. And again, we want to lift up that community and to lift up those families, because no one wants to see kids committing murder and to be murdered. It's just sad. They hadn't even had a chance to live in this life. So we want to keep those families lifted up and encouraged, and we want to keep that community and all those law enforcement officers and teachers. And we also want to pray for our communities. Keep our communities safe. I see that there is some form of social media threat that has happened over the weekend for Montgomery Public Schools. They've listed that as well on Facebook and on the Montgomery Public School website. So you guys be careful, be mindful, teach your children what to look for. So we want to really, really be in prayer for our children in our local communities. Brian and I have so much, again, to share with you today. It is just so awesome to see what is transpiring in these next 58 days before the November 5th election. We want to be mindful of that. We want to encourage you to do your due diligence and vote. It doesn't matter who you vote for with us. It is all about getting out there and vote, to do as our ancestors fought for us to do. We must vote and use your wisdom to decipher as far as what, and do your homework, as Brian says. Do your homework. You want to make sure of what policies that the individual that you're supporting, what policies are they standing on? What acts are they going to support? What government acts are they supporting? What are they going to do for not only for the federal or on a nation, I should say a nationwide community, but what are they going to do for your community locally? Am I right? So we want to be mindful of that. Brian is going to break some things down for us today. And one of the books he's coming for is an awesome book. It's called Coming From.
I'm talking about, we'll discuss briefly.
We will discuss Black rednecks and white liberals. I don't know if any of you have heard of this book, but it is an amazing book. And it's not a long read, but it is a great read. Again, Black rednecks and white liberals. It's by Thomas Sowell. So you want to, if you don't have it, this will be a great book to add to your library.
Yes.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
So let's get started. Without further ado, we're about 15 minutes late getting started today, but we're going to pick up for where Brian left off last week, and we're going to share some exciting news with you. And also, let me get this in, Brian. If you have not gone to our Facebook page, to the GoFundMe, and that is not for us, that is to help the people, some people in Selma that are still in desperate need of financial aid. Again, please go to my page, Janice Martin, and you will see the GoFundMe that we're asking for you to, whatever you can donate, to please donate. And we're going to help about 7 or 8 families. That is our goal. Our goal is to raise $8,000. We want to help about 7 or 8 families in Selma. And we're going to promote them on our show. We're going to show you who those families are and let them give you their testimony. We are asking again. We have not had much from anybody. We have not received anything or any support from anyone in Selma. I'm going to say that.
I don't know that.
I do know that.
But yeah.
I've looked at the page, and that is not to put anybody down. That is to say, we know that there are people in Selma that need the help. We've already talked to some of those people. We've reached out to those people. So if you want to do anything, please go to my page, Janice Martin, and look for the GoFundMe on my page. And whatever amount you give will be greatly appreciated. Okay?
Yep, so good evening, Facebook family. Good evening, YouTube family as well. Shout out to my son, CJ. I see he's watching. Angela's watching. I can't make out the other name of the person that's watching, but shout out to you as well. Yes, like Janice said, just to reiterate what she has already stated, we do want your support. Again, Janice made the point that this is not for us. This is for the residents of Selma. We're simply taking the initiative to do something that should have been done really 6 months ago.
Or a year ago.
You're exactly right, because we're almost 2 years into the tornado having hit Selma.
Exactly.
And then we highlighted the storm that hit a couple of weeks ago.
About a month ago. Yes.
So we do want to, we just want to bring light to that. I talked about some of the things that I thought are relevant as it relates to poor management in Selma and misleadership. I can't say leadership anymore. Misrepresentation. I can't say representatives anymore. Not with a clear conscience. So there's a lot of misleadership going on. There's a lot of misrepresentation going on. Anytime we raise the issue, anytime we begin to question what is happening, look like we get some results. Even if the results are minuscule.
Yes.
But look like we get results. So we do want to shout out to the AmeriCorps. Yes. That is now partnering with Selma and Wallace College and all of those partners that came on board to help in assisting getting something done in the city. That is a great thing. My thing is that we're still missing big money. AmeriCorps is a U.S. government agency. It looked like our people, Janice, have become accustomed to breadcrumbs. Okay? So I'll use that breadcrumb philosophy and analogy. Partnering with AmeriCorps is a good thing. But AmeriCorps is breadcrumbs compared to the monies that have been given to Selma. We should see more being done. So I'm still saying, where's the money? Because we know that if you are an AmeriCorps member, you can receive certain assistance through AmeriCorps. And AmeriCorps pays.
Yeah. Yes.
Those that are working in conjunction with the partnership.
Yes.
But AmeriCorps money is not money that is going to help revitalize and restore that city. Unfortunately, NACA homes are not homes that are going to make that city vibrant and cause people to want to come back to the city. So what am I saying? I'm saying that when you do not have a vision, okay, the people perish. The people perish when there is no vision in place, and when you are regurgitating the same old, and expect for something different to happen. Einstein said that is the definition of insanity. So our people have become accustomed to government handouts. They have become accustomed to breadcrumbs, and the misleadership and the misrepresentation there seems like the only thing they know how to do is apply for grants and look for government assistance through government entities coming in and trying to do something to help that city. Well, we got to depend on each other. We got to go beyond just government institutions when it comes to rebuilding our lives and rebuilding our cities.
Yes.
Why do I say that? We so conveniently forget that government destroyed most of our black cities. We've forgotten about that. We've forgotten about the bombing in Philadelphia. We forgot about the bombing in Washington, in D.C., in chocolate, when Washington was called Chocolate City.
Yes.
We forgot about the aid of Wall Street to the vigilantes of Wall Street and the burning down of in Greenville, Tulsa, Oklahoma area.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? We've forgotten that government did not come to our aid in those instances. We have conveniently forgotten about Katrina. So let's talk about disasters. Ooh. When Bush says, no, we need to wait. Well, why should you wait when a whole city is underwater? You wait because they were majority African Americans. So I don't understand the whole mentality of the misleadership in that city. Always waiting, always got their hand out. Do something for yourself. Come up with a vision. You've got over $27 million that's been given to deal with infrastructure problems, poor plumbing problems, water issues, garbage issues all over the city.
Yes.
You've got streets. I was looking at the city website and went to the 22-23 fiscal year planning and saw the resolution where each councilman was awarded, including the council president and the mayor, was awarded about $17,140 to actually, of discretionary funding, to deal with little issues in the district and in the city. So I'm encouraging those residents that live in Selma, go to the council president, go to the mayor, ask for some of that discretionary funding to help clean up your ward or your district. Go and hold them accountable for that money that they received. When you total up $17,000, basically $140 times 8, you get $171,000. Go to them or whatever. Let's add it up. I don't want to misquote this, so let me add it up. But we need to go to those city councilmen. They got the money to use for discretionary funding and ask for the money. If they have not put it in their own bank account to subsidize their own salaries, and if they are honest people, then they should put the money back into the city and use it for their wards, correct?
Exactly.
So what I'm saying to the residents is we cannot be afraid to hold people accountable when they say they're representing us. $137,000. That's times 8, okay? $17,140 times 8 is $137,000. Okay, that is discretionary funding.
Yes.
The resolution that I read that was given to each council member, city council president, and the mayor. So, like I said, AmeriCorps, I applaud. That's something to applaud. I applaud those that have reached out to volunteer to help. But let me tell you something. That is not going to get the job done. Okay? Like I said, we have become so accustomed to breadcrumbs and we have become so, accustomed to handouts that we do not see the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture is, how do you get a city that is a historic city, a city that is on nationwide, on everybody's radar, as the city that launched the Voting Rights Act? You understand what I'm saying? How do you get a city to where vitality comes back? Meaning, and when I say vitality, I'm talking about businesses coming back to Broad Street.
Yes.
African American businesses.
Water Street, the riverfront.
Water Street being opened back up. You understand what I'm saying? How do you get infrastructure back to where it is in good condition and it is leased in the 21st century? You understand what I'm saying? The infrastructure in Selma is still 19th century. You understand what I'm saying? The plumbing is so old. I said this on a couple of shows back. The pipes that are in the ground are so old that I'm shocked that they don't have more plumbing issues than what they have now. So when we talk about monies that have been given to make a difference, if you don't hold city officials accountable for the dollars that they receive to help the people, they will mismanage and misuse the dollars. And that is what is happening. That is what I call out. Okay? Now, I'll say this. I believe that there are some young people in Selma that want to do the right thing.
Yes.
You understand?
That. Yes.
I believe that there are people in Selma that want to do the right thing.
Yes.
Now, the old mindset that's in leadership now needs to go, because it prevents progress in the city. It is very selfish. When you see leadership like that, they are leadership that thinks only about themselves, only about them being in control. They are afraid to give up the power. They think about what their predecessors did and had. You understand what I'm saying? And then their emphasis is really not the people. Their emphasis is the interests of their own political agendas. Okay?
So let me ask you this, Brian, and this is not getting off the subject, but I'm going to take you down another path. When you look at Montgomery and what they've done with the downtown area, as far as the riverfront, can something like that not be done in Selma?
Absolutely it could. And it should have been done. It should have been done. But that's where you have to have a vision. That's where you have to get investors on board. That's where you have to go out and you have to lobby for your city. Okay, none of that is being done in Selma. Not to my knowledge, but I'm not in the know in Selma. You understand what I'm saying? I can only tell you what I see.
And what you read and research.
And from the research, that's exactly right. Okay?
Yes.
So what is being reported is what I know. And what I see for myself when I go down there is what I know. So what I report are facts. Okay? The facts are that the money is there and is not being used appropriately. Those are the facts. And the facts are that AmeriCorps and NACA is not going to put anything as far as helping to rebuild homes and to reestablish
and to revitalize the city.
Neighborhoods.
Yes.
Not so much, and revitalize portions of the city.
Yes.
Okay, but we know that that's only minimal.
Yes.
AmeriCorps doesn't go in a place to make a large impact. That is not their footprint. Their footprint is to do small things to help individuals. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
They do not make a large footprint. So we need to understand that.
Okay.
We have to get people in there whose profession is doing roads, building homes. You need to get developers in there that can come in. I don't know how long it's been since a new subdivision has been put in Selma that have quality homes. I'm not talking about stick homes. You understand?
Yes.
That in 5 years, you're going to have to refinance that stick home because it's going to be falling in to do renovations. That's what I'm not talking about, those things. So we have to make certain when we talk about leadership, and like I said, in Selma, the only thing I can say is misleadership. Those old heads, the old way of thinking there is atrocious. And it is not advancing the city. When you have young people leave Selma, don't want to come back, don't want to have anything to do with it, that is a result of the old thinking, the backwards thinking, the thinking that because we live here, you don't have a say-so. They don't want to let other people in, other groups in, don't want to let other groups and other people outside of Selma participate in politics. Okay? It's an old, backward Southern way of thinking. It is no different from the Southern Europeans that were in office, that now the misleadership say that they don't want to be like. They're no different. No different. You understand what I'm saying? Very discriminative because they want to put who they want in position.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
So all we're saying is we have to be more conscious and aware. We cannot be led astray by political pundency that really is not effective anymore. And then you have misleadership that will not speak up and do the right thing, nor say the right thing. Okay? So I applaud the things that are done as it relates to trying to educate our children.
Yes.
But if you're not trying to educate the children to really stay, it's about retention.
Yes.
Go get your education, come back. How do we get you to come back and to build?
Yes.
If you're going to school for architect,
Right.
okay? If you're going to school for farming, how do we get you to come back
Engineering
and to help us with agriculture? If you're going for engineering, depending on what engineering, what school of engineering you're going to, whether it's mechanical or electrical, how do we get you come back and to be a vibrant
I have another question.
part?
I hate to interrupt you, but I got another question. There are cities that have community development directors.
Selma's got a community development director. Yes. I mean, they got a community development leader. That's Danielle Wooten.
Now, I think now she can get in. She'll get in there and get the funding so that they can. If you
No, she hasn't done it. Listen, like I said, I can only go off of what I see and what she said. Now, I reported what she said, okay, in February when she reported that Selma had received the funding, okay. Applauding, like I said, I applaud them for the little accomplishments, but I want to know about the big money. See, to applaud somebody for partnering with the AmeriCorps when you haven't told me where the $21.4 million that you said Selma had received, and that in a few months, a project, we would see improvement in the city, and then the mayor comes on television and say, these are the 3 areas that we're going to be working on. We're going to be working on infrastructure. We're going to be revitalizing Broad Street. We're going to be rebuilding homes. When you come on television and you make those announcements, city development should do more. You understand what I'm saying? There should be updates Every 30 days. When you don't see, and I understand you have things in place to where construction companies have to bid.
Yes.
So there are a lot of legalities
Yes,
that go, but cut through the red tape. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Let's not make it so difficult that every time you say that you're going to do a project, you can't even get the project started because you got so much red tape and bureaucracy.
Yes,
that you're putting in place, or that is in place. Now I understand certain state legislation and laws that have to be adhered to, but let's get something going. You understand what I'm saying? That is your job as city developer, not just to talk about it, but to be up there cutting a ribbon with a shovel, digging out a plot of land, saying that this project is starting. We have not really seen that. You understand what I'm saying? Like you pointed out something good when you said, when you look at Montgomery and you look at Mayor Bobby Bright, who actually started the downtown development in Montgomery. Okay, that was started up under his administration. And then Todd Strange came in.
Sure did, yes.
And all he did was continue what had been put in place under the Bright administration, because Bobby Bright went to, we know he left from being mayor of Montgomery and went to the Senate. Okay? So when he got elected and Todd Strange took over as mayor, he continued that development. You understand what I'm saying? So the downtown district, the entertainment district, even if you go over to the Cloverdale area, some of that was started up under Bobby Bright. So city developers, Prattville, I can speak to that development, okay, where the Legends shopping area is, okay. All of those city developers met with investors, put a blueprint in place, mapped it out. You understand? This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is what we're looking to bring to the city. Okay.
All right.
So, Selma, you know, I don't know Mrs. Wooten. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, the only thing I know is from what I've seen her report via WCOV, WSFA, and the mayor standing up and referring or deferring to her on issues of development.
Okay.
But we are not seeing development in Selma. I can say that. Okay. And it is not impressive when you say development. AmeriCorps is part of development. That is not part of development. Bringing AmeriCorps in is not development. Okay. That's no more than, you know, you could do the same thing with the group as far as the homes from Habitat Humanity. Same type of, you understand what I'm saying?
Okay, yes.
Same type of as far as renovation process, it's the same. Okay? Or when Red Cross comes in initially after a disaster, that's the same thing they do. They're there to help. They have paid staffing, and then they recruit volunteers. That's all AmeriCorps. It's the same type of organization. You understand what I'm saying when you read about the actual origin of AmeriCorps. So, yes, it's good that they're doing that, but am I impressed? No, because you're still hiding monies and you're still not developing the city. You still got to deal with infrastructure. What good does it do to renovate houses or to build new homes when you got a poor plumbing system? What good does it do to put homes on land, you understand what I'm saying, that may not be good land, or you don't know what is going on with the land because you haven't had land perk tests in over 100 years. You don't know what area is good now, what area is not good. Give you a perfect case and example. When Montgomery had to deal with the plume issue. Okay. And they talked about the Janetta ditch. Okay. Yes. And they talked about having to build around the plume issues that they had in Montgomery. So same type of thing in Selma. So what am I saying? Like I said, the misleadership there seems to be very, very inept when it comes to the whole concept of what it takes to run a city. It takes more than just praying in a city council meeting. It takes more than just creating programs and bringing in a few high school students and saying we're educating 2 or 3 people, high school students, on how to
run a city.
To see a government function in a city.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
It takes more than just learning Robert's Rules of Order to run a city. And that is what I am saying. Okay, so, I didn't want to talk about Selma the whole show, and I don't want to we're not going to talk about them the whole show, but just to, to reiterate that we're trying to help Selma as it relates to some of the individuals, like you said, Janice, have already reached out to us and said that the city is not doing anything, and that they have reached out to city officials.
Yes, they have.
And they would not help them.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? And like I said, if those councilmen, they receive their discretionary funding, they need to be going to their council person and saying, look, I know you received discretionary funding to help deal with some of the issues that were caused by the tornado. Can you help me in this capacity, whatever it may be? Yes. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we have to look at that. And like you said, now I have had some people to call me and say, Brian, we're going to give, because I told them it's going on the whole month. And they said, look, we can't give right now, but we are going to give. And I appreciate those people. Yes. Okay? But Selma, this is an opportunity for Selma to step up and say, we're going to help our own. Yes. So Brian's not calling us out as a, as a way of degrading us. No, the man is shedding light on some issues that have been in Selma for a long, long, long time. I'm not a resident there. Okay? Everybody knows that. But when you see issues where people are being mistreated, it is our job to say something. Okay? It's my job to say something. I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said because I'm not in the clique that goes on in Selma. Okay? There's a cliquish movement that locks people out, that have forgotten about the poor, and the only thing they're concerned about is maintaining their own own reputation
and status.
You understand what I'm saying? And putting on airs to make it appear
exactly
that they love or care about the people.
Yes.
There's a very ungenuine spirit.
Exactly.
Okay?
You're right.
Within the misleadership. And it is very, very unfortunate. Even when I brought up the issue about those gambling machines, you understand what I'm saying? You do not put gambling machines that's approved by the mayor, that's probably owned by one of the city councilmen, in little pop-up shops all over the city when you deal with a poverty rate that triples the poverty rate of the U.S.
And how long was it after you brought that up on the show that they come in and seize those machines?
Yes.
The district attorney?
Yes. So that goes to show you there's a lot of misrepresentation, a lot of misleadership there. Let me tell you something. Dr. King said this. He said that crime, is the cry of the poor not receiving justice. Let me say that again. Crime is the cry. It is the voice of the poor not receiving justice. So wherever you see high crime areas. That is the voice of the poor crying out and saying, you have forgotten about me. Society deems it, governments call them the people that are without a voice. They have labeled them as the voiceless people.
They sure have.
Okay?
Yes.
So whenever we, from a standpoint of society, we have to think about that. Did you know that in the United States, written in the citizenship laws of the United States, there is a category called a non-national citizen? Did you know that?
No.
Okay. What does it take to be a citizen in the United States? You can be a citizenship by birth.
Yes.
Okay. You can have citizenship by birth. You can be a naturalized citizen, which meaning that you can be born out of the United States, but as long as you're born to parents
that are within the United States.
That are United States citizens. Okay.
Yes.
That rule applies to military people. You understand?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can be a naturalized in that way. And then, of course, you can go through the process of being naturalized by way of being an immigrant entering into the city. There is a category, like I said, called non-national citizen. And it says that person is a citizen, okay, and that their loyalty is to the United States, but they do not have all the full rights of a citizen, such as voting, or they may not be able to actually gain full employment because they have a felony. Okay, so felons are considered non-national citizens.
Wow.
Okay, because they cannot vote legally. There's a lot of things that they cannot do. Okay, so that category, if you go back and study and look, that category up under the 13th Amendment is titled slave. Okay, so the slave is a non-national citizen. There are a lot of non-national citizens that make up our community. You understand?
Yes.
And unfortunately, this system has been predicated on making sure that that class of people remain relevant so that they can continue to have a labor class to do certain things without having to reward them and without having to allow them to participate in the political system. Okay, so we have a lot of things that we need to be addressing as it relates to our community and the misleadership of the United States government as it relates to the Black Caucus, which I call them the Black Caucasians, because they are not serious about really dealing with some of the issues that we see African Americans deal with on a daily basis. Okay? 3 things in this country, excuse me, in this country that have gone silent. One is the education of young Black boys.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
Okay?
I agree. 100%.
That issue has gone silent. There has been emphasis over the last 5 to 6 years about Black women and the progress of Black women, equal pay to Black women, equal pay to, education to our young Black girls. All of those things have been good. We have seen corporations come alongside Black women groups and organizations and partner with them to make sure that they get equal access to jobs, to make sure that they're investing back into young Black girls' educations, things of that nature.
And their businesses.
In their businesses.
Exactly.
But what have gone silent is our black boys.
Yes.
Doing the same thing for black boys. You never hear that group mentioned by any politician.
Never.
You do not hear it. And there is a reason. Because the school system, we talk about the school to prison pipeline, has been designed to continue to keep that silent group as the group that is known as the non-national citizen. And there you will not hear any politician address the issues of our young black boys and their education. So they're just lumped into all other groups. They're just lumped into the system. But to highlight them, you will not see them highlighted. And that is an atrocity. They do not want to assist young black boys. If our young black boys aren't playing football, basketball, baseball, and now soccer, they're not relevant. And they don't deserve to be talked about in a positive manner that is constructive to where this country wants to invest back into them.
That's exactly right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I know.
And it takes more than just one or two organizations saying we're going to invest in men, into our young men. Okay, so you do not hear politicians discuss that. You do not hear them advocate for that as seriously as they do black women. Okay, and that is an unfortunate thing. And I think that is done purposely, almost to create a certain amount of tension between the young black girl and the young black boy. There's a certain division that's put there in place.
Yes, it is.
To keep the young black boy suppressed and never allow him to get back to the status of being the leader of his family, of being what Bible thumpers that don't know the Bible, that stand in the pulpit every Sunday and talk about good Bible stories, head of the household. You understand? Who was the head of the household at one time?
It was the man.
It was the man that grew up from a young black boy, that had a father that would instill in him the importance. You understand what I'm saying?
In his family.
Absolutely. Yes. They do not want that to come back to the black community, to the African American community. And what we have to realize, brothers and sisters, whether you understand it or not, is that the institution of government, by way of the African American community, was not designed to promote a healthy family atmosphere. It was never designed to do that. Because when you look at the institution of government as it relates to our community, you're going back to that government dividing our families. It has never promoted togetherness of our family. You understand? Mm-hmm. You're going back to the day where that government separated the wife from the husband.
That's right.
You're going back to the same government that separated the daughter from the mother and the father from the son. You understand what I'm saying? And you're seeing the same thing politically today. You're seeing a deconstruction of the the continued deconstruction of the African American family by way of dividing, starting at the young boys from our young girls, and then our young men from our young women, and then on up into now our men that are adult men from adult women. Okay? African Americans, we have one of the highest divorce rates.
Yes, we do.
In the nation.
Yes,
that is not by chance. Okay? And the promiscuity that is promoted within our community now is part of that division. You understand? It's pushed within our community. Let me share this with you from a historical aspect, what we don't realize. Okay, you quoted the reference of Thomas Sowell's book, White Liberals, Black Rednecks. Let me explain to you all where he gets the term black redneck from. Okay, the rednecks and the crackers were northern Britons, okay, that came to America as settlers. Those northern Britons settled in South Carolina, North Carolina, some settled in Georgia, Mississippi, Tennessee. These were the predominant areas.
Yes.
Okay? Mississippi, we know, butts up to Louisiana, and then you have Alabama. So those were the concentrated areas that those northern Britons that were considered Highlanders in Britain, they were uneducated people. Okay? They were the criminals of that society. They were the vagabonds of that society. Okay? Those are the ones that actually settled in the southern, so-called southern states, okay, which were the southern colonies. Okay? You saw your educated Britons and some of your Irish and your Scottish that migrated north in what states we know as today as Massachusetts, okay, New York, those areas, okay, Vermont. Now, you saw them in those areas.
Right.
But the southern rednecks and crackers that came out of northern Britain, they came and they were very violent. Okay? Some of their characteristic traits, they were a lot of sexual promiscuity. Okay? They were very unclean. They brought lice over here with them and what they called red bugs that were in their hair. Okay? A lot of the also low class Irish that mixed with those Britons also that came over, they settled in the South as well. Okay? So there's a good book, and I actually showed this book on here about the Cracker Nation.
Okay.
By Winnie, and also the one by the lady that I referenced, White Trash. Okay, get those books. But those are the traits those people brought over here that settled. Those people became your southern overseers. Okay, for the southern plantation owners. So the plantation owners that actually were able, which were very few, by the way, when as it relates to number now. We're just talking about number. Compared to the poor white settlers. The poor white settlers outnumbered the plantation owners. Okay? But the overseers of those plantations were your poor white settlers that were very violent, very, very vulgar in nature. Yes, they were the white rednecks. Okay. Now, what Dr. Sowell talks about is that the black slave picked up a lot of the character traits from those overseers who were the poor redneck cracker settlers that came over to the South. Okay? And those traits, unfortunately, have been genetically passed down to our children.
Wow.
And even beyond just the normal genetic transfer, when you talk about epigenetics, okay, so you're talking about generational memory also that is inherently in us, even if maybe your descendant personally wasn't affected by that. But just the genetic memory. Because we were all pretty much in that same situation. Okay. That was passed down to the slave. And the slave picked up certain traits. And he says that the ghettos and the people that live in the ghettos now are poor people, eerily, actually exemplify some of the same traits as the poor white settlers. Okay, so he says when you see violence in the neighborhoods, when you see sexual promiscuity going on a rampage, when you see crime, men disrespecting women, when you see women disrespecting their man, when you see the young man not in the household where his children is, you see that division continues. He says the traits, the character traits, represent those. So he termed them black rednecks. That's where the whole term black rednecks come from. Okay, so we'll talk about the white liberal class. When you look at the white liberal class, those were the lowlanders of Britain, or what they call the upper echelon. Okay, so the white liberal class now, as it relates to what the black liberal is at one time, okay, now you see that person as the white liberal. Okay, so when you look at that, what is a liberal person? Okay, when you talk about the category of being a liberal in politics, what is a liberal?
It's like they really don't have a lot of restraints. They're more free thinkers, I think.
Yeah, they're progressive. Okay,
yeah,
they're progressive. They think from a political dynamic. We're talking about politics here. Okay, so you would have a white liberal, which is categorically a person that thinks progressively when it comes to politics. So the freedom of the woman's right to choose.
Yes, they're free thinkers to me.
Things like that, yes. Okay, so certain issues. At one time, okay, you had the black liberal that was more conservative. You understand?
Yes.
Now you have the white liberal that takes up that same stance, literally, when you look at it, as the poor white settler just on a political platform. Okay. So that means that the licensure to do anything without the restriction of law and without the oversight of government is what is promoted as it relates to the white liberal. You understand what I'm saying? So we could go into a deeper context of that, and maybe I will. But I just wanted to share that, because when you look at our community, Janice, we are in a situation right now to where our community, if we don't address the issues as a people, see, revolution happens when the people get angry and the people make things change. Revolution has never been led by someone that is a politician. You just don't see that.
No, you don't.
Okay, so when you go back to the Civil Rights Movement, when you go back to Black Panther Party movement, they were not politicians, but they demanded change.
Yes, they did.
By way of the crooked politicians. You understand what I'm saying? We have to do the same thing. The people has to become involved And it starts on a local level.
And Brian,
Okay.
it's sad to say, I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see where our people really care enough to get involved. Everybody is just like, I'm just going to stay over here in my lane. That's the word, the verbiage. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm just going to stay over here in my lane. That don't apply to me. Listen, like you said before on the show, it's coming to a neighborhood, to your neighborhood.
Yeah, you got to deal with it. And what we have to, as black people, we can't say it doesn't apply to us because, like I said, whether we recognize it or not, we're all in the same boat.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Now, here's where we have to really begin to look at the political system. The two-party system has never worked for us. It's never worked for black people. Okay? And I will say that, and I'll declare that, and I can prove that. Okay? When you had the first Civil Rights Act that was written in 1865, you had which was the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. Then you had 100 years later, the 1965, you had the Civil Rights Act, signed by Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay? Both of them said the same thing. As a matter of fact, if you go back and you read the 1865 Civil Rights Act, we actually had more rights under that act, which was written 100 years prior to the one in 1965. Okay? So, the system, the duopoly system, does two things. It continues to oppress young people. It continues to oppress free thought. It continues to oppress those that will oppose the tyrannical and the deceptive nature of the system. Okay? What you conveniently see with the misleadership and misrepresentation of politicians is you see them get in and you see the old guard come against some of the young people that go in there free thinking and really want to change, and they get conveniently pulled to the side and say, if you don't do this, you won't be back up here the next term.
Yes.
We will make sure
That you're not, that's it.
that we put enough money behind whatever engine we want to put to where you don't get reelected. That's what happened to Cory Booker. They got pushed out of New York. You understand what I'm saying? Now, and I look at AOC. I look at how now she's conveniently become the voice of the Democratic Party.
Who is that? AOC?
Alexander Ocasio.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Alexander
has become the voice where when she initially got in, she was the leader of change. Now, conveniently, because she got pulled aside and threatened, she's flip-flopped all over the place. But she's not the only one. They do the same thing on the other side, on the Republican side. So it just goes to show you, and that no people will address the issue that I talk about all the time on this show. They will not address poor people. And not only that, if this was a so-called democracy, why not allow those third-party candidates to come on a debate stage? Why? Because they are so restrictive in what they must do to qualify, to participate in a political debate. In this, up under a democracy, this country should relish free thought and to argue ideas. Yes. We don't. This is not a democracy. You understand what I'm saying? That is why, even on the local level, when you look at these politicians that have been in office and they feel like this is my city and their old thoughts, old ways, they propagate the old system. They, you know, my dad would say stinking thinking.
Yes.
They exude that stinking thinking very self-righteous. You're very indignant if you don't agree with them, if you don't fit into their, their agenda, and if you don't mesh with them. They don't relish, they don't appreciate, they don't, want free thinkers. So in this system is the same way. If the American government was a democracy, it would allow the third party candidates to participate without all of the restrictive laws that have been put in place to exclude them. You understand what I'm saying?
That's what RK was saying, Kennedy. He was saying that they wouldn't allow him to debate. He was independent. They wouldn't allow him to debate.
But he was a Democrat turned independent because they pushed him out of the debate.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
That's the wrong reason to switch to independent. If you are an independent, be an independent. Don't be an undercover Democrat that gets mad at the Democrats because they don't want you on the debate stage. And that's basically what that was. You understand what I'm saying? No, I'm talking about real change and real thought. That's why I say we need a black party that, if nothing else, will coalesce in a block, the black vote, and have representatives that will say, you do not get our vote. We vote as a block. If you're going to have the system of duopoly in place, and if that's the game we have to play by, establish a black party. Get rid of the black caucus. Okay? Because the black Caucasians up there now, they are so inundated with trying to be politically correct that they never deal with the issues that are in the black community. They deal with international issues. They deal with some of everything but what really plagues the black community. And that is crime, that is no jobs. I'm not talking about middle class. You understand what I'm saying? They deal with middle class issues, but they don't deal with black issues. But yet they call themselves the Black Caucus. We need to get rid of them. They need to be disbanded. And there needs to be a black leadership established, black party established, that will deal with black people political interests down to the least of these. You understand what I'm saying? And not leave out those that are on the bottom. Yeah. Until we get back to that type of being able to think clearly about what it is that we face as a people together, it's going to be very difficult for some of us to get ahead. And I submit to you that the people that are keeping us oppressed the most now are our own people. So all skin folk are not kinfolk. Just because they look like you don't mean that they have your interest in mind. See, black people, you have to understand this. Middle class blacks, okay? Educated blacks. Let me tell you something. This is where I differ from a lot of people. I look at, if you have middle class blacks that can come together, black women raise $2 million in one night for their sister. Okay? Black men get online the next night and raise $1 million plus. All coalesce around the Democratic agenda that does absolutely nothing for the little poor ghetto black boy that I was just talking about, okay, that has no voice. He's the voiceless now. He's been the voiceless for 50, 60 years, okay? The only thing they want to see him in is in jail. And those that make it out, that are in middle-class families, that are the exception to the rules, they make it out. We'll let them skate through. Okay? We just like they said, we gave you Obama. You understand what I'm saying? Which Man, we'll get on that. But anyway, that is what, when we look at that, you understand what I'm saying? We've got to do something as black people to make sure that our issues are addressed. And the only way that that is going to happen, if they can raise $3.6 million in 2 nights.
That's right. That's right.
But we can't get each other to give to eradicating hunger in the ghetto, or to putting our young boys to work in the ghetto, and putting our young women to work in the ghetto. You understand what I'm saying? Don't tell me you love your people when you would rather give to a party that over the years, apart from Dr. King in the civil rights movement, okay, making Lyndon B. Johnson sign that act. You understand what I'm saying? And we haven't really seen much progress in it. As a matter of fact, we've gone backwards by all tokens.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? We have not progressed. The progress has been a false progress.
Okay.
Okay. What we have seen is people maintain power. You've seen people not want to give up power.
Right.
Okay. You've seen people remain persistent with power. You've seen people use their power to keep young people down. You've seen people use their power in politics. You understand what I'm saying? To maintain their lifestyle, their status quo, uplift their family, but they have not used that power to try to elevate the least of these.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So that is what we have when we look at that. But we gave $3.6 million in the matter of 2 days.
In 48 hours.
To a party that does not have our interest in mind.
Right.
Something's wrong with that. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We've got to do better. So there's no way you could tell me that if we as a people can give $3.6 million to a party within 2 days that have no interest of elevating the poor, that black people care about each other. You understand what I'm saying? We have diametrically, from a standpoint of our mental state, we have an issue. And the issue is that some of us have separated ourselves based on party. And we've said that we're not a part of the whole collective of who black people are. Mm-hmm. We hold ourselves, you see what I'm saying, accountable to the party's agenda over what our people need.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Well,
and we go along with that and say, well, certain bills that are going to be put in place, Brother Watts, they'll affect black people too. Yes, they'll affect black people too. But what people have endured more than any other group in this country, what people have had more false promises made to them than any other group in this country. And I know people get tired of me saying this, but I'm going to continue to say it because we're not holding the United States government accountable to actually, if you're going to participate in this government, when I look at, like I said, the men that occupied those senator and representative seats.
Right.
Okay. After they got a right to vote, the 1865 Civil Rights Act.
Yes.
Those black leaders, they went in there to end slavery, to make sure, you understand, that slavery never resurrected its ugly head again in this country. They went in there to deal with the system of Jim Crow before it was a Jim Crow. You understand what I'm saying? They went in fighting to make sure that slavery never came back to our community. We don't have people that will continue to fight and say, our people need this. You have, black people have, I think, the second largest economy in the United States.
We spend more than...
Yeah, it is not, that's why we could raise that money. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, we could.
The second largest economy in the United States, but yet the worst living conditions in the United States. The poorest educated in the United States. Now black people, this is something that is unheard of, 15 to 25 years of age, have the highest suicide rate in the United States. Black people. You understand what I'm saying? Not only that, we make up 13% of the population. We have the highest drug overdoses in the United States. And yet, the misleadership, the misrepresentation of who we are, because we have leadership that don't give a D. Literally. They do not care. When Europeans were dealing with fentanyl, they attack it.
With a vengeance.
You understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
they did. They attacked, they cut
And
it.
they're still attacking
Yes,
it.
they are.
Okay? All types of policies
Yes,
being
they
written
are.
and put in place. But we don't have the wherewithal to do the same. And we're experiencing almost the same type of epidemic with marijuana and Molly in our community and all these other different types of old sick drugs that are being pushed into our communities. You understand what I'm saying? So we don't take the same, tenacity that is exemplified by other groups and deal with them on a political stage to where we deal with the human rights of our people. You understand? So that's when I say that something has to be done to where black leadership finally gets serious, and finally recognize that if we don't elevate the least of these, then it's going to be very difficult.
Yes, for any of us. For all.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
For us to maintain our nice, plush, comfortable lifestyle. Okay, it's going to be very difficult to maintain that. So at some point, we have to address those issues. And we cannot be afraid to address those issues. We can't be afraid to take it to the American people. White, black, Asian, Hispanic, we have to address it all. You understand what I'm saying? And we have to address it to all communities.
Yes.
Because guess what? If the lower class, uneducated, because you don't want to educate them, because you don't want to elevate them, they've got to survive, they got to eat. So guess what? Eventually it's going to affect you because they're going to come to your neighborhood to eat. They're going to come to your neighborhood to try to find something to subsidize them because they don't have a job.
Exactly.
They're going to come and break into your cars. You understand what I'm saying? To try to see if there's any change in the ashtray, or see if you left any dollar bills in the glove box, or to see if you left your gun under your seat.
Exactly.
Okay? So what am I saying? We have to see the big picture. We don't see the big picture. Why? Because parties isolate peoples. Party leaves out people. Party deals with who they want and the best interest of how they can continue to promote their wealth and launder money through those that are at the bottom,
Exactly.
back up to the top. Okay? So drug business is a big business. That's why drugs are in our community. Okay? So when we go back and we do that research, we'll see that the first drug dealers were CIA agents. So black people have to read. You understand what I'm saying? We would realize that the ghetto was created as a way to isolate and to tabulate and to keep a census of those and to track those mothers, parents, grandparents, great-grands, and all of their children up to 5, 6, 7 generations. That was the whole premise of the creation of the ghetto in the U.S. You understand what I'm saying? You could track 4 generations by keeping them up under the thumb of the government and never let them progress.
Never let them come out of the ghetto.
Never let them progress. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, you have exceptions to rules that make it out, but very few.
Very few.
Okay?
You're right.
So we have to begin to acknowledge that the duopoly machine that was created was not created to advance us as a people. I said this. Any advancement we saw it when we came together apart from the machine. And we did it ourselves. We built our own towns. We fed ourselves. We educated ourselves. We took care of each other as far as health care. We had doctors in the community that took care of everybody. You understand? We had teachers that educated our children, and they were the best educators.
Yes, they were.
And our children was the best educated.
Yes, they were.
Listen, 1965 hurt our community. And I believe that if our ancestors could go back and do it over, they would do it differently. Because those black businesses that we had went away. Those black teachers that were the best went away. The black subdivisions that were nice to live in
Went away.
went away. The black doctors that were in the community that you could go knock on their door went away.
The black pastors
You
that
understand
were in
what
the
I'm saying?
churches that actually helped the people in the community went away.
They died out.
They did.
Because you still got a church on every street corner and you got a black pastor in there and they ain't doing a doggone thing.
But you got
Like I said,
storefront churches,
most black pastors today are really just idiots. Now,
Brian.
I say that from
goodness.
I say that from a standpoint of not degrading the black pastor. I say it from a standpoint of not having knowledge to organize the church for the community. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not a downput. What it is to say that you need to step up and stop preaching these old dead stories that you have regurgitated for the last 50, 60 years and organize the community. The church used to be the foundation of organization. It is not anymore. It doesn't serve the community anymore. Health fairs and food pantries and clothing closets that only help people sporadically, that is not what the black church was about. At one time, the black church organized the fight. The black church took the fight to whoever we needed to take it to. That is gone. You understand what I'm saying? And the black church stayed open and educated our people.
Yes, it did.
We don't have that anymore. And guess what? Misleadership don't want that. They want to keep the congregation ignorant. They don't really teach the Bible. They teach Bible stories. And it's stories that they make up based off of the Bible and stories that they've heard that's been passed down. They don't really study. You understand what I'm saying? All of these things, whether we want to admit it or not, they are a cancer in our community. And for those people that hold on to those old things that killed us. You understand? They don't hold on to the good part of the past. They hold on to the past that did not progress us at all. If we do not find a better way to do things and understand that there's better solution than what we have right now, we're going to slowly die out. I said this at one time on another show. I said, what you're looking at is a very organized, deliberate, destruction of one people group.
Yes, it is.
That is what you're looking at.
Yes.
And you're going to continue to see that over and over and over.
You said now we're not at the bottom of the pyramid.
We're below the pyramid.
We're below
now.
the pyramid.
And not only that, when you look at our young men and women, most of them are, like we said on last week, they're driving around here with no identification.
Yes.
They have no insurance. They are non-national citizens. They fall into the same category. Because guess what? In order to vote, you got to have a valid ID.
That's it.
Okay? So that is another way to say you're not a citizen of these United States because you do not carry a valid ID. Even though you were born over here to citizens, your mom, your dad were both born here, but because you can obtain an ID, because you have a ticket, because you have misdemeanor charges and you may have lost your license, now you can't go down to the state. They're scared to go to the state to get a valid ID.
Yes, they are.
Because there may be a KPS warrant on them. They don't know what they got on. So listen, so what am I telling you? I'm telling you the system creates this. And it's not all the system fault. We have to take some accountability and responsibility by wanting to do the right thing. But when society in the African American community promotes doing other than the right thing and glorifies dysfunction, we have a problem. And our community has tended to now latch on and glorify dysfunction. And for some reason, our children eat it up. They latch on to dysfunction. They embellish and relish dysfunction. And it is very, very, it's telling because you could see it in the littlest of our children all the way up to the oldest now. You got old fools that are walking around that don't know their head from the hole in the ground. Okay? And then you've got the political pundits that don't want to see our people progress and just hold political office because they want their name to be recognized. They want to make themselves, they want to hold on to that power, make themselves something that is significant and important in the community and make it look like they're doing something that's really good or something that's important. No, we need change.
Yes.
And we need real change.
Yes.
Shout out to my brothers at AUL. I did an article in their magazine. And the article that I wrote was titled The Battle for the African American Culture and Community. And we are locked and engaged into a battle that we are losing. We're losing it because we have misleadership and misrepresentation. Okay. And I'm going to stop there.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope you all have gotten a lot out of this show tonight. I sure have. You would think I would know more because I'm right here hearing this every day. I do. I know more than I project and than I say, but I let Brian take it away. So without any further ado, you guys have a wonderful week.
Wonderful evening.
Wonderful rest of the week. And be mindful, be vigilant. Try to read something of substance.
Amen.
This week, please. And be safe out there and pray and just meditate, whatever you do to bring you to be grounded. And may you have a blessed and prosperous week.
Good evening, everyone.
We love you. Bye.